Hi kiddos, we are going to read a new book today. The title of this book is The Camping Trip, and it is by Louis Patrone and illustrated by Joanne Fryer and Lisa Adams. What type of things do you see on the cover of this book? I see some trees, I see some tents, and I also see some people. Who do you think these people are? I think it may be a mommy and a daddy and maybe a grandpa. And then these two kiddos over here, maybe their brother and sister. And then I also see a dog and a squirrel. Back here, I think I see a boat. Let's look at the back of the book to make sure that this book is going to be about a camping trip. Let's see. In an adventure vacation. A vacation with family and friends can be a true adventure. See what happens on one family summer vacation when they go camping. So we were right. This book is going to be about a camping trip. Let's take one more look at the cover before we start reading. I have a question. What do people do when they go camping? I'm excited to learn about what people do when they go camping because let me tell you a little secret. I've never gone camping before. Oh, I know, but remember, I'm not from Indiana. I'm from New York City, and over here, there are not too many places where I can go camping. But maybe one day I can come to Bloomington and you can teach me how to camp. What do you think? I would love to learn how to go camping from you. All right, now let's get started because I'm excited to learn about what people do when they go camping. Before we keep scrolling down, I know it's a little itty bitty word, but do you see what this word says here? This word says non-fiction. Can you say that for me? Non-fiction. One more time. Let's say it together. Non-fiction. Have you ever heard of this word before? What does it mean if a story is non-fiction? If something is non-fiction, that means that it is based on facts, real people, and real events. So that means that it is true. I want to make a connection to what we've been working on in writing. What type of writing piece have we been working on? 2 words. Personal narratives. Can you say that for me? Awesome job. Personal narratives is another type of writing that is also true. So that means that we have nonfiction and personal narratives that are both true. Very cool that we were able to make a connection to the reading from our classwork. All right, now let's continue because I'm excited to learn. The Camping Trip by Louis Patrone. Illustrated by Joanne Fryer and Lisa Adams. Packing for the trip. What type of items is the family packing for their trip? I see a sleeping bag. I see a lantern. I see a little grill or barbecue. I see a boat. They're packing all sorts of things. Before we move to the next page, did you notice over here this really cool drawing? This drawing says map to the campsite. Whose drawing do you think this is? Well, I see that the notebook is yellow because I can see yellow around the page. Now let's take a look for yellow. I see the boy holding a yellow notebook. And over here, I see that he's wearing a hat that says Andy. And I see him writing in a yellow notebook. So, do you think that we're reading and seeing what Andy is writing and drawing in his notebook? I think that's what we're doing right now. I think that we're going to be able to see what Andy is writing and drawing in his notebook. That's super cool. I'm excited to see what else he's going to write throughout his camping trip. Setting up camp. What do you see that Andy drew in his notebook? Andy drew how to set up my tent. So over here we can see the different pictures of him setting up his tent, and then down here he wrote the instructions on how to do it. Thank you very much, Andy. That's going to be super helpful for me when I go camping. A hike to the creek. And over here in Andy's notebook, he wrote things I want to see. He wants to see a chipmunk. He wants to see a millipede. He wants to see a frog. He wants to see a moth. He wants to see a fox. And he wants to see a waterfall. Have you ever seen any of these things before? I don't think that I've ever seen a fox in person. How cool is that? Do you see any of the things that he wants to see in this picture? On this page? Let's look. I see one of his items from his page. I see a chipmunk over here. I wonder if he saw it. Fun in the water. Oh, so it looks like Andy and his grandpa, they went out on the water. And I see they have a cooler And I see that they have fishing rods and oars. And we know what oars are because we learned about it in social studies. Oars are objects that help someone move a boat. And over here, it looks like the dad and Andy's sister are playing in the water. Before we move on, I have a question. Why is Andy's canoe checklist a good idea? Let's see what items he has on his checklist. He has oars, he has a life vest, he has sunscreen, he has maybe water, and he has food. Why do you think his canoe checklist is a good idea? I think it's a good idea because these all seem like pretty important items, and I think Andy and his grandpa would be very sad if they forgot any of these while they were already out on the water. Fishing for dinner. So now Andy and his grandpa are fishing for dinner. Let's see what he drew. Fishing baits. Why do you think that Andy wrote and drew these things in his journal? I think that maybe he wrote and drew these things in his journal because it seems like these are all different types of fishing baits. So maybe he wanted to keep track of the ones that he and his grandpa used. Dinner time. Oh, it looks like Andy and his grandpa were able to catch some fish. And over here, Andy, his sister, and his dad are building a fire to cook the fish on. And over here, they're all having dinner together. And I even see a little chipmunk also came to visit for dinner. And in Andy's journal, he wrote about how to build a campfire. I think that can definitely be something that's useful to know about before you go camping. Sitting around the campfire. And in Andy's journal, he wrote best s'mores. So these look like the directions to make the best s'mores. Have you ever had a s'more? Even though I haven't been camping before, I have had s'mores. I think that they are delicious. Under the stars. Oh, and I see Andy writing in his journal. What is the dad doing? It looks like the dad is looking at stars. Do you know what he's using? Do you know what this is called that he is using to help him look at the stars? This is called a telescope. Can we say that together? Telescope. Have you ever heard of this word before? A telescope is an object that helps us be able to see little itty bitty objects that are far away. It helps them look closer and bigger to where you're standing. So he's using a telescope to help him see the stars that are in the sky. And since the stars are so far away and so little, he can use a telescope to help him be able to see the stars bigger and closer to him. Oh, we are all done. The end. What did you think of this story? I loved this book. I thought that it was super helpful that Andy wrote so much in his journal about how to go camping. Maybe I'll use Andy's journal to help me when I go camping. All right, kiddos, I hope that you have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye!